G'day and welcome back to the Ranty Chair. I'm on the Ranty Chair and I'm going to have another talk about what's been happening around the world in the area of drones, model aircraft, regulations, stupid people, clever people, all that sort of stuff. It's sort of a coffee break. Oh, I don't have any coffee. Oh, okay, well, I'll make some later. Anyway, a bit of a coffee break to discuss some of the things that affect you and I and everybody else in the hobby. And first up today, I think I want to talk about GoPro. They're not in the drone business anymore. Remember they came out with the Karma drone? The Karma drone was going to take over the world and it looked pretty damn good from the get-go when they didn't show you the drone, they just showed you the footage and it looked pretty damn good footage, you know, because GoPro have got some really good cameras and the Karma drone was basically, it was a drone. I mean, what's this, you know, it was a drone and it stabilised gimbal platform. It all looked very nice. But then of course, they brought it out about the same time as the Mavic, and the Mavic had more features, had collision avoidance and all sorts of other cool stuff that the Mavic, the Karma didn't have. I get confused. That the Karma didn't have. And then the Karma started falling out of the sky, which wasn't really a good look for GoPro. So I had to recall them all and give people free cameras and then send them all back out. So the cost was enormous to GoPro. And they, you know, that was actually unfortunate timing too, because GoPro's cameras have come in for a lot of competition now. They were the action camera company, you know, but now they are an action camera company. So they've lost a lot of market share in that area too. And so it's been a hard year or two for GoPro. They've laid off hundreds of people who were involved in their drone manufacturing operations, and now they've basically admitted, right, we're out of the business. We're not going to do drones anymore. Too hard, too competitive, no money in it for us because we stuffed up. So there you go, no more Karma drones. If you've got original Karma, it might be worth something in a few years' time, just as a keepsake, a curiosity. But you won't see any more. Never mind. The DJI really sort of thrashed them anyway. The choice between a Karma and a Mavic was, you know, a no-brainer. Even if you don't like DJI products, you've got to admit that the Mavic is a pretty schmick machine and it does what it says on the box. Right, next up. Oh yes, remember there were some tests conducted by the UK government some months ago now, to test whether drones posed a threat to airliners. And we're all saying, oh, we want some tests because everyone's saying they can bring down an airliner, but where are the tests? I mean, you fire frozen chickens at airliners, fire a frozen Phantom at one and see what happens. And nobody did it for a long time. Then the UK government or the UK come along and they said, oh yeah, we're going to do some tests. So they did some tests and they came back and said, ooh, these drones are dangerous. If you're flying your drone at 10,000 feet and you hit an airliner, it's probably going to go through the cockpit window. Ooh, you know, better ban them. You know, the hype, the hysteria. And of course, everyone in the know said, well, okay then, if that's the case, please show us the results of the test. Please show us the details. You told us, you know, a whole lot of stuff, but you're not backing it up with the evidence, the proof from your test. Where is the evidence and the proof? And then, of course, the authority said, oh, no, we can't show you the evidence. We can't show you the results of the test because terrorists could use that information to their advantage. And I'm thinking, really? This sounds like a cover-up. What's going on? What's wrong with showing us? You show us the results of frozen chickens hitting airliners, and terrorists can use frozen chickens just as easily as drones. So what's going on? And now the Register, a UK technology publication, has come out with some information that was given to them, which shows that, in fact, your standard Phantom 4 drone will not break through the cockpit window of an airliner. Unlike the claims made by the people who did the tests, they got some detail on the whole thing. And apparently to get the drone to go through the cockpit window, they had to do some skullduggery. And so, as we suspected, the reasons that the details of these tests were perhaps not released wasn't because it was a terrorist threat. It's because the actual evidence didn't back up the hype and the bullshit that we've been fed about the danger of drones. So, you know, obviously they went out there to test these drones. Oh, we're confident. Yeah, no, we'll show that these are dangerous things. They weren't as dangerous as claimed. So they went, oh my God, what are we going to do? Oh, we'll just lie about it. We'll just say that they're really dangerous. We won't tell anybody that they're not by showing them the facts. Oh man, how can we believe anything that these people say if they're so keen to bullshit us when the facts don't fit their story? It's just not good enough. And it's the whole story of drones, isn't it? It's all about hysteria and creating a perception of risk and danger where one does not exist. Well, okay, there's a risk associated with drones, but the perception is like this big and the reality is like that big. We've been fed a line of, well, the public have been fed a line of rubbish about just how dangerous these things are. Remember, oh, if a drone hits a helicopter, people will die, we'll take the tail rotor off, it'll crash into the ground. Well, no, it didn't. It didn't. A drone hit the Black Hawk helicopter, ding in the rotor blades, ding in the door, boop, end of story. Meantime, helicopters, and as I said in the last rant, helicopters and other manned aircraft are colliding and killing people all the time. Well, not all the time, but it's far more frequent than drone collisions, yet there are more drone flights every day than manned aircraft flights now. So, as I say, the risk, not really as big as we're being told. And I'd like to follow up on my little rant about apps last week. Now, remember I said that, apps that don't give you 110% accurate and timely information are not apps, they're craps. And I've got the proof. I knew sooner or later I'd have the proof, but I got the proof much quicker than I expected, because here in New Zealand, a guy, he's actually a Chilean tourist, has been arrested and charged with endangerment because he flew a drone in the vicinity of an area where 8 helicopters were fighting a wildfire. Now, there's a lot of stuff that's unclear so far. I mean, you can't, as I say, you can't believe the authorities, you can't believe the media. False news is the currency of the day. It's even more common than Bitcoin. So you can't believe anything anyone says, so you've got to try and read between the lines. So I'm going to simply say, well, I'm just working on what I have read and what I've been told. I cannot verify these facts. I wasn't there, and I haven't spoken firsthand to the people who were. So please take some of this with a grain of salt. But I'm going to draw some long bows and do some speculation here. But first thing that we do know for sure is the police arrested this guy and confiscated his drone after the pilot, one of the pilots, or one or more of the pilots of the helicopters fighting the fire, saw the drone. When he saw the drone, the helicopters were grounded for 15 minutes while the police came along and, basically arrested the guy, took the threat away. Now, first point of note here is that this guy was a tourist from Chile. And I can bet you $1 million that he wasn't given this brochure when he came through the airport. Now, I've said to CAA on numerous occasions, many of the people who responded to CAA's survey that they conducted online recently said unequivocally, you must educate tourists coming to this country, because they are the biggest problem area. They're the biggest single risk, are tourists who don't know the rules coming with their drones and creating problems. And I've said, give this to everyone who gets off a plane in New Zealand, or at least put a stack of them there so that people with drones can pick one up as they come into the country, read it at their leisure, and know that what they're doing is safe and legal within the framework of our regulations. But they don't do it yet. It's not done. I mean, I did this years ago. I suggested this to the CAA. Still haven't done a thing. Too expensive, apparently. So, using my brain, which is, I've got one. Not all bureaucrats have got them, but I've got one. I said, well, if it's too expensive, why don't you just get a big banner printed with a QR code on it, so that when people come off the airport, just have, if you have a drone in your luggage, please visit this QR code, so they can get their phone, go click, and it will download this in PDF form onto their phone. It won't cost you any more than just having a banner positioned at the entry or immigration control point where you get off the plane, right? A single banner there. Anyone can take a photo with their phone and get this on their smartphone. Why not? Why don't you do that? You agreed it's a really good idea, but you haven't done it. Why not? Regulators are there to make rules, but also they have to promulgate these rules. The rules have to be promulgated. If you know you have a big problem with tourists, why are you ignoring the potential and the ideas I've given you to educate them as they get off the plane, so we don't have Chilean tourists flying in a manner which is allegedly endangers the lives of helicopter pilots trying to fight a wildfire? So I put the blame on this pretty much squarely at CAA's doorstep. CAA, you could have educated this Chilean tourist when he got off the plane, but you chose not to. So you should be before the beak as well as this Chilean guy. You have a responsibility to educate and inform, and that was made very clear in the survey. But you're still ignoring it. What's going on? What's going on? You're treating this like it's a game. It's not. It's serious stuff. Lives are at risk, and you're not doing your job properly. And I don't say that lightly. I am serious. You're not doing your job properly. You're not educating people. You put up a website and say, visit the website. No, most people don't even know the web. If you come to New Zealand, you don't even know the website's there. So let's be serious. Right, let's move on more about the story. Now, Airways, which is the airspace management company, not the regulator. CAA is the regulator. CAA makes up the rules. Airways manages the airspace. So they're the people who do all the air traffic control for airliners and so forth. And they issue NOTAMs if there's something that pilots need to know about. So they are in charge of making sure the airspace is used safely. Now, they recently published a press release on their website and to the media, which was widely carried by the media. And I'm going to quote a bit from it here. It was on the 13th of December last year, which is like less than a month ago. They published a press release. I'll read a little extract from it here. It says, with AirMap's free iOS and Android apps, drone users will be able to seek necessary airspace and public landowner approvals to fly, file flight plans, and access real-time information about other aircraft in the area, allowing them to stay safely separated, right? Okay, so this app sounds like the best thing since sliced bread. If you get this app, you'll know when there's other aircraft in the area, and you'll know if it's safe to fly, whether there's approvals for this area to fly in. Woohoo, what could go wrong? Well, do you remember my last vlog when I said, unless it's 110% accurate and up to date, it's a bad thing? And guess what? I got an email last week from someone who said, hey, did you realise that the AirMap system does not automatically download NOTAMs from Airways? Now, as I say, Airways is the company that issues the NOTAMs. And normally pilots go to the Airways website and they can read the NOTAMs for a specific area if they're planning to fly there. The AirMap app is supposed to advise you. Let me read it again. Let me read that part of that press release again. It provides provides access to real-time information about other aircraft in the area, allowing you to stay safely separated. So you would expect that if you're in an area where there is a firefighting operation and there are a whole lot of helicopters buzzing around at relatively low altitudes, that if you have an app which is supposed to inform you of other aircraft, it would tell you on the app, especially if the app is being pushed like hell by the airspace manager, the airspace administrator, saying, ooh, download our app and be safe. So you'd expect you've downloaded the app, you've got it there, woohoo, if there's helicopters fighting a fire here, it's going to tell me. Well, it's not. And apparently it didn't. Apparently, this is what I've been told, the NOTAMs are not automatically downloaded onto the AirMap system, therefore they're not going to appear on your smartphone. You don't get the NOTAMs on the smartphone. So this Chilean tourist, even if he had this app, even if he'd followed the recommendations of the airspace manager and downloaded the app and used the app, he still would not have been advised that there was probably a NOTAM in place requiring aircraft to stay clear of the firefighting operation. So as I said, if an app isn't 100%, 110% accurate and up to date, it is useless. It will get you into trouble. If this guy, this Chilean tourist, relied on that app, it's not going to help him in court because Airways will say, oh, no, he's still got a responsibility to follow the rules. And he endangered other aircraft, and that's against the rules. So what the hell point is there in having an app that you can't rely on? That's what I said last week. And it's proven this week. It's been proven. Exactly what I said has come to pass. App has given incomplete information. So it may have given him green flags. You may fly here. And he thought, oh, I'll go and fly here. And as a result, got himself in trouble. And also, even though there were helicopters operating in the area, there are a number of ways he could still fly legally. If he was flying below the level of the treetops in a shielded operation, then he posed no threat to the helicopters because they're not going to be flying with monsoon buckets below the level of the trees, are they? The buckets drag on the ground. So we also have the probability that there was a massive overreaction by the helicopter pilots because remember, most of the helicopter pilots I've spoken to have admitted that they're really worried about drones. They really are concerned about drones, not because they pose a risk to their aircraft or their lives, but because they're going to take their jobs. Now imagine we move forward 10 years and we have another wildfire. Do you think manned helicopters are going to be flying over that wildfire? No, we're going to have drones flying firefighting operations because it's safer. If we don't have men in helicopters flying around, then they're not going to be in danger. If we have drones flying around, well, they can take a lot more risk without putting human life in danger. And that's what's going to happen. Drones are going to perform these firefighting tasks. So the pilots flying them now are realizing, ooh, that drone is a danger because it'll have my job in a few years' time. And that's why they're bitching and moaning, complaining and grizzling. Because look at it. Look at the, I say, facts and evidence. Let's look at the facts. How many helicopters have been brought to the ground by recreational multi-rotor drones? How many people have died as a result of the use of recreational multi-rotor drones? None! Zero! Yet, just a year ago here in New Zealand, a firefighting helicopter crashed and unfortunately the pilot was killed because the monsoon bucket he was towing actually hit the tail rotor. No drones in sight. So it's a dangerous, very, very dangerous operation, fighting fires with helicopters. So the sooner we get men out of cockpits and onto the ground flying drones for that operation, the safer everyone will be. But of course, that puts some people out of jobs and they don't like that. So it's possible that this was a complete overreaction. The Chilean tourist, when he was interviewed, said he thought he was flying far enough away to be safe. He didn't think he was anywhere near the helicopters themselves. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case because, as I say, there is this phobia of drones, and even the pilots of helicopters have probably been sucked in by the media and everyone's saying, oh, if a drone comes within 100 meters of your helicopter, you're doomed, you're going to die, this is what we're fighting in this hobby. It's idiocy and bias and prejudice and hysteria and hype. Got to take a stand sooner or later. I'm going to talk about that in a later video, but there you go. That's, I was right again. Damn it. I wish I wasn't. Right, that's enough ranty time for another video. Probably too long. I might have to edit some stuff out. I don't know. You won't know because you won't see. And there we go. I'm going to do another video in a little while. I want to talk about advertising on YouTube because it's crap, as I've said many, many times before. And I know I've seen a lot of other channels now just basically become ghost channels. But I'll talk about that. I'll tell you what a ghost channel is, and I'll tell you what's happening in the YouTube ecosystem and where I'm directing things and why you're probably going to start to see some ad-free videos on this channel. But there's already one I put up the other day, ad-free video on XJet. Woohoo! And there'll be some on RC Model Reviews too. So keep an eye out for those, and I'll tell you what that's all about in an upcoming video. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Now, if you've got comments on any of the stuff I've spoken about today, please leave them in the comments section provided by YouTube. And if you want more information, there will be a whole lot of links in the description of this video to news reports, websites and things which relate to the items I've covered. So go through those links and you'll find like the Airways website, that press release I mentioned, news coverage of the drone incident here, news coverage of the earlier helicopter crash with the monsoon bucket. I've linked to that story on the Register about the way that the results of the drone tests with airliners seem to have been covered up, all that sort of stuff. So this is just a little window into the big world of information. You can follow the links and find out far more than I've told you here. There you go. Thank you for watching. Time for me to fill my coffee cup because I can feel the blood level in my caffeine stream rising to unacceptable limits, and I will now go and do some more work. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.